Hey y'all, welcome back to VW Family Farm. Today I'm going to answer a question that we get, and that is, how do you know when it's time to stop feeding your cows hay in the winter? When spring's approaching, how do you know when that time is? So we are going to do some feeding, get loaded up, and head back to the cows. We do this every day. We go put out hay. We've been putting out, for our larger group, we've been putting out 2 bales a day, and then we have some different groups of like calves we're weaning, just different ones that are separated off. They don't get fed every day because they don't eat it all every day, but how are we gonna know when to stop putting those 2 bales out in the back? Well, let's head back there and we'll talk about it. So the very first thing you have to determine before you even think about stopping or slowing down on putting out hay is, what are your cows gonna eat if you do that? So you can see it's starting to green up here. Now I realize some of you are a long ways from this and some of you are further ahead than we are here in Central Arkansas. But no matter the case, no matter when the timeline falls, when it starts to green up, you first have to determine, is that weeds, or is that things desirable for the cows to eat, things that they will eat, or is that grass? Is it good things for them to eat? You have to determine what is that green in your field, because in the past our fields have suffered. They were depleted when we started this rotational grazing. They're really coming alive and catching on. We had things growing here on our land that were planted, and as those things depleted out of the seed bank, there was just not a lot left. So what might come up in the early spring might simply be buttercup flowers or some weeds, things that might be good for the pollinators, but that and what the cows will eat are 2 totally different things. So if we really get down here and look, there is still some undesirables. There's still quite a bit of buttercup, but there's also grasses. There's early season grasses. And in other parts of our farm, there's quite a bit of early season clover that's desirable for the cows. Clover has some of its own risk, but pretty much every forage does. That's not the point of this video. But the point is, you have to determine what you have growing that they're potentially gonna eat on if you cut their hay forage back. The next clue is gonna be your cow's behavior or body language. You can see we've pulled up over the hill to where we're gonna put out hay to our big herd. Now this herd gets their hay rolled out every day because there's a lot of them, and we are taking a 2-fold approach. We're feeding our soil while also feeding our cows. So they get fed every single day. So they don't usually have hay just sitting around. They eat and they're satisfied and they chew their cud and everything until we come back the next day. Now it may take them a little while to eat on that, but they're not like having a hay ring where they can stand around and eat on it all the time. So in the middle of winter, when there's absolutely nothing out here, they will meet us at our hot wire fence and we can barely get across it because that's all they have to eat and they're waiting on us and that's their routine. But as it gets closer to spring, you see some of them are not even getting up. They're out there, they're satisfied, and I've already cut their hay feeding in half. They were getting 2 bales, now they're only getting 1. They still seem pretty satisfied. So that's one big clue, is your cow's behavior. Now, as I go in there and put this hay out, you'll also see, you may see them run to it and act really hungry. You may not. That's another clue. How quick do they come to it once I get in the pasture with them and I actually have food in front of them? Another thing is we've been all out through this paddock and this pasture, and you need to look at how much hay is on the ground from the day before. So we are having quite a bit of hay left. They wind up standing around, they wind up laying down it, they wind up putting manure in it, all kinds of things. And so that's a sign that they're wasting it, that they're not really hungry enough to be eating it when you put it out or in a timely manner. And so that's another clue to cut back. You can see they did come up to eat, but not all of them, and they didn't run and just like almost tackle us. So really, they're being fed enough at this point, and like I said, I've already cut them in half. So we're gonna go up and feed one more pen of cows, and I'm gonna show you one more clue. So we are actually up here. We are gonna put some hay in a hay ring. We feed some of our calves and just different pens that are smaller in hay rings. It seems to not what they call waste as much hay, although I told you there's benefits to rolling out your hay for feeding your soil. But just by nature of what we do feed some in hay rings. We're about to put that out, and the strategy there is just very simple. As the hay starts to disappear slower, you know that they're getting grasses, especially when you're having the spring green up. You know that they're getting other things because your hay is just disappearing slower. So you can kind of slack off because they're eating it slower and they still have hay, and you don't need to put additional out until it comes to a point where they will just basically kind of abandon the hay altogether, and usually you'll be left with a partial bale there. They may go ahead and clean it up, but it'll be pretty clear to you that they are finished. It'll take them quite a while to clean that last bale up, and then you just stop putting it out and keep an eye on them. Make sure that they act like they're getting enough. You can tell a hungry cow or calf from a full one several different ways. Like I told you earlier, full satisfied ones will be laid out part of the day chewing their cud, and hungry ones will be constantly up trying to get something to eat. So you just really need to pay attention, know your animals, know your land, and know your seasons for when your spring green up should be coming. This is pretty normal for us here. It might not be for you where you are, so if you have a flash of a false spring, you might not want to trust that when you start cutting your forages back for your animals. But if you're pretty sure it's here to stay, you can start that process. Hope this helps. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching, and we welcome you back to VW Family Farm anytime. God bless.